What's happening, YouTube? This is actually, I got mail to catch up on. It's going to be a totally different video. But this is a contest, family history, and story for Sconnie Tradition. Who wants to learn about people's backgrounds and stuff like that. Which is, I think we went over quite a bit when we went to Milwaukee to that wonderful Bucks game last year. And by the way, go Bucks! They're kicking rear end right now. So family history, and it's very similar to his. My last name is pronounced Pelzowitz, and for that, my dad's side of the family is a Polish last name, but for my mom's side of the family, she is 100% German, which makes me 50% German, 25% Polish, and like a mix of everything else. There's some Indian in there and Norwegian, but for the most part, that last 25% is a mix of everything. I don't actually have the whole spiel of it. I have it somewhere, but that's common for this area. Just like so, even with the Polish last name, it's only about 20. I'm only about 25% Polish. There is no other Pelzowitz. This is where we originated from, where I'm staying. They spread out throughout the country, but it all came from this area. So if you see the same name, it's my relation. As far as my name, I have got the same name as both of my grandpas. That's how it is easy to come up with my name, Joseph and John. Now, Joseph was my grandpa Pelzowitz, and I guess that's where I'm going to start my story, because there's plenty of stories, like not confirmed stuff, but a lot of rumor stuff to do with my family. My father was the third youngest of 16 kids. So when my grandpa Pelzowitz, Grandpa Joe, he was an elderly man when I was a young kid, elderly. In fact, my little sister was only like 1 when he passed. So he was already in his 80s, and he was a great ball player. I've heard stories. I'm just going for both the most interesting stories. This was an interesting man and one of my best friends. He owned a lot of land in this area in the 20s. How he acquired it, I'm not sure. It was very, very cheap. But then all these kids started coming along when he and the Great Depression hit, and he had to sell all this land. And a lot of the land, this is not confirmed or any which way, but a lot of the land was sold for cash to Al Capone's people. Al Capone was known to come to our area a lot. Well, not himself particularly, but a lot of his people, and ride the train here, because we have a train thoroughfare right through our little town. That's how our little town came about. It was a train stop. But there's been numerous rumors of Al Capone's people coming up this way and going to pig farms and getting rid of things all the time. That's how our little town came about, is just a train stop and a lot of traffic came through here. It's just the way it was. We were a logging community. And I think Scott said he came from a real small town too. This is even smaller. Well, no, at the time it was. Right now, the town I live in is still maybe only 850 people. I've since moved from that town, just about 20 minutes away. But yeah, so that's my grandpa's history. He has been known to say that he pitched baseball for minor leagues before he got married. Blew out his arm. It was the Tigers organization, of course. Blew out his arm, and then came up and came back to this area. So couldn't pitch again. Back then, you blow your arm, you're done. There was nothing to save you. But I heard that what got him interested in to go to minor leagues, some of the major baseball teams, like the Cubs baseball players and the Yankees baseball players, there was open tryouts here in this small town that I live in now, that he would just go pitch against when it came around. Open tryouts for major leagues. It was weird to get into the minors. And he would just tell me, as a young man, don't know how much embellished it was, who he would strike out that would come to these things before he blew out his arm. Very interesting man. Like I said, he had all this land, and I don't remember how he acquired it, and my dad has passed, and he liked to embellish it too, but and when he sold all this land, he kept one little chunk of this land. Self-made man. Built a 9-hole golf course in Stevenson, and that's what he made his living on the rest of the time with all these kids. A lot of kids. Self-made, interesting man. When I was young, he had some kind of throat surgery, so he talked very, very raspy. I don't know what his original voice sounds like, and that's the one thing I wish I had recorded, but we don't have anything like that. No one recorded anybody back then. I don't think we had answering machines back then, before he had the surgery. I just remember he was a very stern man. Kids were seen and not heard unless he told you to come by him. It's the way it was. But I tell you what, it was super special when he did. Now, my grandmother's a different story. She was interesting in herself. But you want to see where my sports passion comes from? These two people. Nobody, my grandmother and my grandfather. My dad loved it too, but nowhere near that these two people have. He was such a Tigers fan that he just, when the radio was on and the Tiger game was on, it just didn't bother him. He wanted to listen. We didn't get it on TV here. We had it on radio. So if he was in the middle of cutting lawn and the Tigers were just about to start, he'd stop. The lawnmower would sit out in the yard. There's passion. The passion that I get is a lot from him. Self-made man, stubborn man, but when he was like my best friend in the world. He would sit me on his knee and just tell me a story. His favorite player to tell me about was Mark the Bird Fidrich. How crazy he was. It was special to have him tell you so. He would like to goof around with me too. A lot of things that people thought he was such a stern man, but he was very loving to when people weren't looking. He said and did a lot of things to that effect when people weren't watching. I know that. That's why he liked to goof around with me. I was his right-hand man. Everything, I after school I was there. I would walk my 5-6 years old, walking from school 2 blocks by myself. This is a different day. And go to my grandparents' house. You couldn't do that now. It's a shame. But that's where all my passion for sports. When he passed away, he got in his casket he was in his Tigers jacket, Tigers hat. That's what it was. No one had a bigger heart for sports than this man, and I emulated it. It's what I wanted to be, what I had to do. It just makes me really emotional just talking about it because I miss him. I miss him terribly. I think I was 12 when he was gone. He was my dude. Oh, that's it. Sorry to go on about that, but that's basically my family history and the rumors about it. Of a strange man where just sports was like number one things in his life, and that's me. That's exactly me. I have his name, and that's me. That's it, everybody. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This is for you, Scott. Take care. Love you.